Hello, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video.
We are more than we are one.
Today I am doing the frustrated book tag. I was tagged by association by watching Megan's reading Revelations. So definitely check out her channel. She does a lot of fun tags like this. This one's just a heap of fun. So let's just jump right into it. First question is, name a book you predicted would be 5 stars but wasn't. For me, that was The Extraordinaries by T.J. Klune. This is the same author who did The House on the Cerulean Sea, which I'm sure most of you are aware of because that book blew up last year. So he was basically one of my favorite authors after that point. He writes a lot of romances. That's what The House on the Cerulean Sea was. That's what this is. This is supposed to be about a boy who is a fan fiction writer who basically falls for superheroes, because it's basically just like our world, but has superheroes in it. Characters were unbearable. It has, I think, one of the worst examples of miscommunication trope I've ever seen. And I just assumed I was going to love it. It's superheroes, and it was by T.J. Klune, and it was a huge disappointment. Number 2 is, what book had a great beginning but an ending that let you down? Similarly exciting to The Extraordinaries, I picked up Bonds of Brass. This is another romance, but sci-fi, and I haven't actually found a lot of romance sci-fi books, so I was really looking forward to this. It has a awesome cover, and pretty much this book is about 2 people. One of them is a secret prince, the other one is basically protecting the prince, and it starts off really interesting. It's really action packed. You get a lot of strength and like characterization of these characters, and it seems like it's going to be really interesting. I was really intrigued to see like how these 2 are going to come together, and it has just one of the worst endings with just some of the worst twists, and I just hated every second of it. Unfortunately, both of those are actually on my unhaul shelf. I just haven't unhauled literally anything because of 2020. I just haven't wanted to go into the bookstore and like sell any of my stuff due to the whole thing that's in 2020 and continuing to 2021. That was just a stupid way I said that, whatever. Number 3 is, do you have a book with a pretty cover and an ugly spine? I thought this was going to go somewhere else with that pretty cover and ugly something else. I didn't expect spine. I thought this was going to be really hard to do, but actually I've had a book sitting on my desk for about 2 months now that fits this perfectly. And that is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. Legendborn clearly has a very beautiful cover, which kind of detracts away from what I think is a really weird font in the symbol. But on the spine, all you see is that font. I just don't like that font. I think it's kind of ugly, and I don't really think it suits the cover. And also, I don't know what that symbol is. I mean, obviously it probably is meaningful to the Arthurian legend or something like that. It just doesn't look that great though. And then like the beautiful like red and blue of the cover, it just doesn't work on this lettering. I feel like that coloration, I don't care for this. I really don't like it. So I'm actually more excited that I actually had an answer for that topic than disappointed about how ugly the spine is. I don't know what that says about me. Number 4 is, do you have any book series that doesn't match? And yeah, many. I can't really show it here. You probably literally can see it in the back right now. I'll probably have clips flashing by as I speak, so I'm just going to start rambling because I'm just going to be showing pictures of all the books that don't match. But yeah, I have way too many. It's actually really annoying, and honestly I think that's the worst part of consumerism in my opinion. I don't really have a problem buying books and like having books I like on my shelves and stuff like that, but what's really annoying is when I go around looking for the copies that match, and I'm just like buying books and you can't always tell if it's the exact copy or the exact size. So I'm just like buying books that don't match. Like, don't even get me started on Lord of the Rings, because anyways. So number 5 is there a book from your youth you can remember parts of but cannot remember the name or find anywhere? I'm kind of cheating on this one because I actually technically used to have, there's two specifically in mind. I used to have these, but I'm pretty sure I looked them up a while ago and I could find them, and I could probably find them again, but I'm going to use them anyways. But back in my youth, there was this book about a boy, I think living in like this older kind of mansion sort of thing. And I think he either liked marbles or he played with marbles, and it ended up being sort of like a doorway or communication to somebody that lived in the past in that house. So essentially a ghost. And that's all I really remember about it. And there's this other one that really puts me in a really calming mental state. And it was this book about, I think they were in the West, or in like the Old West. It's kind of like a prairie style book. And I think the dad has two kids, an older daughter and a son, I believe, and he ends up losing his wife. So this new chick, I believe her name was Sarah, she ends up coming to the farm, and I can remember if he like basically hires her as like a wife or hires her as just like help around the house or like a nanny. I don't know, but basically ended up becoming a family. One of the books has them going through like a tornado because they live out in the freaking middle of nowhere, like Texas or Oklahoma or something. And then one of the books, I know they actually go to her like seaside village, so it's like a little cottage on the ocean or something. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure if I looked hard enough I could find them, but those are two books that I'm like are the only ones I can remember, but I can't always think of like what they're called. Number 6 is, are there any books you're certain you've read but cannot remember anything about? This one was really hard. The only thing I could really think of is probably something from school. I definitely remember specifically there was this book called Poe's Shadow. I don't even remember what it's about. I know I had to read it for school, and I don't remember anything about it. Edgar Allan Poe. I think it was something about him following Edgar Allan Poe's stories or how it related to his life. I don't know. I don't remember it. Or that's probably how most of the books I was forced to read because of school. And that's how I end up having... What? Let's just move on. Let's move on. Number 7 is, have you ever recommended a book you love to someone and they started telling you everything they don't like about it? I can't think of anything specifically. The most I can probably think of is Stormlight Archives. And it's probably just more like people saying that they disliked, because those books are so massive, there's so much stuff to love and dislike. So I think they just didn't like the parts that I ended up liking, and that's probably it. But they still end up liking it because it's the freaking Stormlight Archives. Number 8 is, what is your worst experience loaning a book to someone? I actually still have the book. The book is right here. It is the Zodiac Legacy Convergence. I still have not read it, but it's this really cool, like, I think American Japanese story. Yeah, it's supposed to be like really comic booky and stuff. But it's a weird story and probably doesn't make me look good. But anyways, the reason why this is so bad was just to put me in an awkward situation. But back when I was using dating apps, I met someone, and the first time they ever came over to my house, I was really excited to show off my book collection because they actually thought it was kind of interesting that I read, and they were like a okay fan of reading. So I was really excited to show my collection, and they ended up really liking this book. And I was like, oh my God, you should you should borrow it and like read it and tell me how it is, because I haven't gotten to it yet. I was really excited just to share my experience of reading. And then shortly after that, I kind of knew that I didn't want to continue dating. But I was worried to tell them that I didn't want to continue to date or see each other. Again, we weren't official. It was just like dating apps and stuff like that. But I was nervous to tell them that I wanted to stop like being romantic before I got my book back. So I basically had to make like one last like date for us to see each other. And it was kind of just like, hey, if you weren't planning on reading that book anytime soon, can I just like have it back, and just whenever you're ready to read it, you can let me know. And they were like, sure. So I basically like hung out with them just so I can get my book back. And then like later I like texted them and I was just like, hey, I don't think this is working out. So yeah, that's probably my worst experience because that's like really awkward. Number 9 is, show me some of your impulse buys that you've never read. And holy geez, there are way too many to count, but I have some outliers. The first one is definitely Eve, The Awakening by tuber Jenna Moresi. When I was first watching BookTube and getting into writing, I definitely watched her channel a lot, and so I was a huge fan, so I bought her book. I definitely don't think I even cared for what it was really about. I kind of was just like, oh, I bet this is going to be so good. I just want to support her or whatever. And I don't really even really care for the premise. And then all the reviews, I can tell I'm not going to like it. And I'm pretty sure it's on my unhaul shelf now. I don't plan on ever reading it. Another one that is pretty high up there is Angel Mage by Garth Nix. I know Garth Nix is like hugely popular. I haven't read any of his books before. And I just remember seeing this cover. I thought it looked so cool. And it's something about like angel magicians. And I thought that was really cool. So I got it. I have no idea when I'm going to read it. Like I don't have like a single interest just to be like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to get to that. Like unless somebody like comes to me and is like, hey, this is a really good book, read it. Like if you read this book and it's really good, tell me so I can be more encouraged to read it. And then lastly, this is kind of hard to say, but honestly, probably the book of the month. Like last year during 2020 when we were all just doing the best we could, I kind of wanted to treat myself. So I went ahead and purchased book of the month, but I made sure to do the whole 1 year thing. So I wasn't like so I didn't like have to keep paying it monthly or lose track. It's like I knew I had the funds at that time to pay for 1 year of book of the month. And I mean, all the books I've gotten pretty much sound interesting, but I just have no idea when I'm going to get to them. Like, I don't know why, like, I just thought it'd be cool to get books that I wasn't actively going after. Like, oh, I've heard about this one. It sounds really good. I like the idea of just like picking from books I never would have thought to get. I just don't know when I'm ever going to pick them up. Like, I don't know when I'm like, I have so many books that I need to read, like these books that like I didn't even actively go after. So yeah, that was kind of, I guess, just book of the month in general was like an impulse buy, and I haven't read any of them yet. Some of them do seem really good, but I haven't read any of them yet. So number 10 is how many unread books are on your shelves? Yeah. Okay. Let's get into this. I most accurately used Goodreads because I do have like an owned TBR shelf. So all the books that I want to read that I own, I put on that list. And I originally had 145. And then I ended up looking through them a bit and I was like, I actually narrowed it down to 136. Right? That's so much better. But also I'm pretty sure there's a lot of books like that aren't even in there. Like for instance, the book I showed earlier, that like this Zodiac one, I'm pretty sure this isn't on my Goodreads. So like this is just one out of I don't know how many books that are on my shelf that I haven't read yet. So yeah, I have a lot. I don't know what to say. So that is my frustrating booktube tag. Let me know if you guys have done this tag as well. If you haven't already done it, tag your it. I'd be really interested to see what other people have to say about this because this is pretty fun. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye now.
Because I'm blowing